Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Love and Detachment, Acharya at IIT Delhi 2022. So, this is a real interesting question. How can you have love and detachment at the same time? I'm trying to think about it. Is it possible? I mean, the way I would look at it is like you can enjoy things in life and not suffer from it. Not suffer from it. So, for example, you can play a sports, and if you lose, you don't suffer from the loss. So perhaps that way? Anyways, let's give this video a shot.
Pranam Acharya ji. Sir, my question was that just some minutes before you told that it requires a deep thinking to arrive at what is the right thing to do. Uh, so my question was that in terms of like if we have to analyze something, and it is quite a far thing. Like suppose we have to analyze the environment or anything that is happening outside. But when we try to objectively analyze something that happens with us or is associated with us, it gets a kind of a messy affair to arrive at anything that is worth following or anything that is clear. So, my question is in the context of how you started this quest of finding out what is right, and was it this thinking, and how did you arrive at what was the right thing, and how did you face this challenge of investigating those things which demand, which may have a risk of losing something that you have been holding for a long time. So how do we uh, investigate those things?
Jeez, he says a lot, and it's hard to understand. It almost sounds like exactly what the title is. Love and detachment. I am still a bit lost in terms of his question, but because they're saying externally from a distance, how do you analyze? All of a sudden, yeah, I don't know.
Right. What's your name?
Siddharth Singh.
Siddharth is asking, it's easy to investigate objective world, phenomena outside of us. Right? You go to a laboratory and you can conduct experiments there. Because really, you don't have much to do with the equipment there. You go and there's an engine you are conducting experiments on, or a computer you are writing code on. You are not personally related there. So it's easier to be objective there. But when it comes to investigating what is going on in our life, within us, then it becomes difficult.
So, at least in that part, is he saying he was talking about materialistic things in terms of like the laboratory? Well, I mean, it can be kind of similar to even people, but they're not related to you in any way. So, for example, I guess grading a person's paper. You have no attachment to them, so you can judge their paper a lot easier. You're not going to be lenient. And like I guess criminal investigations. When the cops usually they don't are not usually attached to the crime because you could have a cloudy judgment.
The word that he is struggling to come to is detachment. And you'll be surprised where detachment comes from. Detachment comes from love. If you really have self love, then you want to know what is going on in your life. And he is right. It becomes a complicated thing, it becomes a hodgepodge, a mess within. You just cannot know what is happening. From where is this emotion arising? From where is that desire coming? Why do I hate that direction? Why am I falling for such a thing? All these things happen inside, and it becomes so difficult to remain objective because now the subject itself is involved. Right? In such situations, you require to be detached. And that detachment, I am saying, comes from love. Detachment, therefore, is not an opposite of love. Detachment is a product of love. If you are suffering, do you really want to keep suffering? If you are in a bad situation, do you want to remain there? If you love yourself, you will say, I want to get out of this place. And if I want to get out of this place, I have to very independently, very neutrally, without prejudice, understand what is going on. That is called detachment. Not to be prejudiced towards yourself. Not to have inner biases. Not to say, oh, I am a good man, but bad things are happening with me because the world is conspiring. No, I am a good man. I deserve to be JE1. It's just that the examination center was too noisy. And that's why I am JE 2714. I do not know of your batch, but most of us in my batch were aggrieved and kept fretting for all 4 years that we didn't get the JE rank we deserved. And all of us had reasons of this kind. You know, the topics I specialized in, there was no question from those topics. There was just too much optics in the paper, physics paper. 25% of the paper was from optics. Now who does that? This is a scandal. I had declared myself JE1 even before writing the JE, even thrown a party, even published in the papers. But look at my rank now, in 4 figures. We live very biased towards ourselves. Sometimes we also live biased against ourselves. Sir, what can I do? I cannot speak even in front of the mirror. If there are even 4 people in the audience, I faint. I'm no good. Please take me away, hide me somewhere. Better still, bury me in the earth. We can be biased for, we can be biased again, but hardly ever are we realistic. And it's a very important thing to have in life, realism. Know yourself rightly. Know yourself rightly with the faith that your potential is infinite. Irrespective of your infinite potential, if your current reality is of mediocrity, accept it. But accepting your current reality does not mean remaining limited to your reality. You should say, this is where I stand. However, I am not destined to stand here. Very frankly, very honestly, I accept I am standing at a very mediocre level. But this is not where I will perpetually stay. My destiny is elsewhere. I'll climb to the skies. I'll climb to the skies. I'll not say I'm already sitting up there. Now, both of these are problems. There are those who say, oh, we are born to be great. Swami Vivekananda told us. So I'll declare I'm already great. You are born to be great. That does not mean you are already great. Be realistic. And then there are those who say, I fully well realize I'm in a very in-between position. I'm not great. And that seals my fate. My entire life I'll spend like this. Don't limit your flight. Irrespective of where you are, you're capable of reaching the highest. And when I say highest, I do not mean a plum job in the US and 4 luxury villas there. That's not That's not the conception of highest you should have. I have nothing against the US. But, but the common conception that we have of being successful in life is deeply flawed and dangerous. Self-love. If I am being partial, I'm hurting myself. Do I want to hurt myself? No, I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to hurt myself. When you are preparing for the JEE, do you guys still use Irodov? Or is it out of fashion now? Huh? It's still in use, right? I do not know what your response to Irodov was. As far as I was concerned, first 3 months, I didn't get a single problem right. Not one problem. Class 11th, I was told to pick it up in August or September. Till the winter set in, I was clueless. What is going on? One pulley here, one mast there, something is hanging. Now what do I do then? Tell myself that I'm already proficient? Because the answers were there at the back. In the editions that we used to have. Sometimes the hints too were there. You could pick up the answer and reverse calculate and say, I have done it. Is that what you do? Or do you honestly accept I'm not yet there? Please. That's also the thing you must do in life. How much of jealousy do I have? What's my jealousy coefficient?
Okay, so I'm not really saying too much here. Only because I am mostly lost on this one, honestly. I mean, I kind of understand some of the things he's saying, but I'm not seeing the connection. So, initially it's about love and detachment. Then he's talking about how you don't want to cause harm to yourself. And then he's talking about how you're essentially celebrating too quickly. As though you were, like you're the greatest. You already made that announcement. You told everyone that you're the greatest. But yet, you haven't even taken the quiz yet or whatever. You haven't, done whatever it is that you're supposed to do. And then come to find out, you didn't even make the best. You're not even the best. And you already made that announcement. I mean, I understood all of those, but I'm still not seeing the connections to any of it yet. This is the first time I'm struggling with Acharya here. But anyways, let's continue.
How possessive I am. How niggardly, how lazy I am. Shouldn't you ask these things? Should you be assessed only on questions in physics and chemistry? Should you not assess yourself internally? What's my discipline quotient? What's my attention quotient? This thing has been on since an hour or so, or 1.5 hours, I do not know. How much have I been attentive to? Should you not know that? Or are you saying that everything in the world is important except yourself? This is important, so I'll know about this. This is important, I'll know about this. Everything is important. This is not important. I am not important, my life is not important. How many of you want to say that? Please. If you are important and your life is important, then which knowledge is the most important? Self-knowledge, right? But we have been told that you must be knowledgeable about everything. History, constitution, geography, of course PCM. You must also know international affairs and geopolitics. You must also know NFTs and Bitcoin and crypto. And you know all these things.
Okay, that part I do understand. So basically, when you go through school and throughout life, a lot of things that you see everything external is very important. So this here I'm understanding very much, where he's talking about how self-knowledge is the most important thing because, and this is something Sadhguru talks about a lot. It's like no one reads the instructions to this body. essentially self-knowledge, which is very true. I mean, um, because every day we act, we interact with the external world. And even though we do interact internally as well, somehow that is always missed because it's not something externally that we can see, even though we feel it a lot of the times. We think it, we feel and think it. Can't see it, can't really touch it, can't really smell it, can't taste it, can't hear it, because it's, I guess, technically it's because the five senses aren't able to manipulate it in any way. We don't pay too much attention to it.
What is it that you do not know of? The self. Because the self is of no use, because we are worthless. Everything is worthy of being known, but we are worthless. Why should we know ourselves? When you want to know something, then your mind gains sharpness. Have you not experienced that? When you really want to solve a problem, have you seen how your entire mental energy gets focused? Huh? Then there is no question of attachment and prejudice. Then you are just hell bent on tackling the problem. I want to know what's going on. The same thing happens when you want to know what is happening internally. Then, irrespective of what your hormones are doing, what emotions you are experiencing, you still know the reality. Are you getting it?
Oh, I'm going to rewind us that part, that last part.
Hell bent on tackling the problem. I want to know what's going on. The same thing happens when you want to know what is happening internally. Then, irrespective of what your hormones are doing, what emotions you are experiencing, you still know the reality. Are you getting it?
Let's watch that last part again.
Attachment and prejudice. Then you want to solve a problem. Have you seen how your entire mental energy gets focused? Huh? Then there is no question of attachment and prejudice. Then you are just hell bent on tackling the problem. I want to know what's going on. The same thing happens when you want to know what is happening internally. Then, irrespective of what your hormones are doing, what emotions you are experiencing, you still know the reality. Are you getting it?
Okay, so that last part, from my understanding, is the fact that whenever you're really focused on your job, everything, you kind of get tunnel vision, as they say, where you're just hyper focused on what you're doing, everything else becomes irrelevant. You know, if there's someone talking, or the time, or your place, or where you leave stuff sometimes, you know, you may put something down there, all of a sudden you're like, where is it? Oh, you know, you kind of forget because you're so focused. But it seems like he's saying that if you do that internally, you have a sense of reality.
You are experiencing, you still know the reality.
So if you have that internal focus, you, regardless of what you're feeling, you still know the reality.
Are you getting it?
The reality of the situation that you're in.
Want to know what's going on. The same thing happens when you want to know what is happening internally. Then, irrespective of what your hormones are doing, what emotions you are experiencing, you still know the reality. Are you getting it? What's going on? The same thing happens.
The same thing happens. That's the experience. Experience that.
A problem. Have you seen how your entire mental energy gets focused?
Hmm. I mean, I kinda understand what he's trying to say when you're when you're hyper focused on focusing on inside. You understand the reality of who you are. Hold on, I'm gonna pause real quick and think about this. Okay, so this one is quite a tough one for me from Acharya here. So understanding that if you focus internally on who you are when you have that hyper focus, the tunnel vision, I'm assuming you're seeing the reality of who you are. And with the title Love and Detachment, when you see the reality of who you are, I mean, this is me really, really stretching here. Um, 'Cause at least as far as when I listened, I didn't really hear him say this per se. But if you really look internally, you'll see who you truly are, which is pure love and pure detachment. But it's kind of hard to say where is this love and attachment going to. I mean, it's kind of understood that it is, in a sense, universal, as in it's not just love and a detachment from yourself, but it's also love and detachment from the world itself. So let me know how you guys understood this. This one was amazingly a bit confusing for me. I understood a lot of the pieces, but where I'm failing at is how they're all kind of connecting to each other, or connecting to his question, or connecting to how he repeated the question in terms of love and detachment. It's really weird to say love is detachment. And there's there's a saying, if you really love someone, you got to learn to let them go. But that's not necessarily how, love is usually represented. It's usually you want to do everything for that person. And love, generally speaking, is attachment. But at the same time, you can look at it in a perspective of that you can love something, you can enjoy something, you can have something and not suffer from it. At least that's from my perspective. I'm not sure that's necessarily all right yet, all 100% correct, but I believe so. And I don't know if, I mean it could be true. I know in Advaita Vedanta they teach detachment, but can you enjoy and have detachment? So nice. Let me let me know what you think about what he said here. What is kind of very small summary of what he said. I do read comments. I don't really have time to reply, especially if I get the email. So nice. My reaction to love and attachment. One really difficult one for me to understand from Acharya. Most of his stuff I do understand. It's just trying to figure out the meaning of the words that he says, because at least from the other gurus and swamis that I watch, consciousness and pure consciousness are two separate things. I believe with Acharya here, at least from the one video I watch, consciousness is in between ego and pure consciousness. It's this little in between area. So anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.